Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Okay, so I'm still setting up. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Bake with June Monday. Hello, hello. So I'm super excited about starting off this pumpkin season. I know I have a lot of people that have been asking for it for quite some time now. They have been pushing the pumpkin button. They want pumpkin spice, they want pumpkin, they want sweet potato. So I'm super excited to kick off our first pumpkin recipe, which is one of my favorites, guys. We're going to be making the bourbon pumpkin. And I've also posted an alternative. So if you're not, you don't want it with the rum or bourbon, whiskey, whatever you want to make it with. If you don't want it with that, then I've posted the alternative, which we can actually use just semi-sweet chocolate chips. It's a really versatile recipe. So there's no need to worry and say I don't drink. So welcome, guys. As you're coming in and you can hear me clearly and you can see me clearly, go ahead and heart or love the video. That way we can let everybody know that we're on air. Also, take the time out to share and invite someone. Maybe you know some people, they like to bake or they just like to watch other people bake. Invite them as well. So welcome. I see that we have some newcomers, guys. Welcome. For those of you who don't know, my name is June. I am the baker here. You bake in my kitchen every week. I open up my kitchen. I'm welcome to recipes, whatever it is that you'd like for me to bake. You guys choose. I bake for you guys. It is my pleasure every week to be here with you guys for a couple of minutes and bake. Hey, welcome. Happy to have you. Okay, so today, as I said, guys, we're going to be making bourbon pumpkin. Guys, this recipe is literally 1, 2, 3. You don't even need your mixer, although you guys know I love my mixing bowl because it's so deep. I think I'm going to make this recipe by hand, guys. It is not a recipe that needs a mixer. Of course, if you have a mixer, it definitely makes it go even a lot faster. But this recipe, you can put it together in 5 minutes and pop it in the oven and it'll be ready. It's that simple. So I also wanted, I believe, I see her online. She was asking me about cupcakes. Now this exact recipe, it is versatile enough that you can make it into a cupcake if you choose. If you want cupcakes, then this can be your cupcake recipe as well. As I said, it's very versatile. You're able to move it around as much as you want. White chocolates, dark chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate. I recommend semi-sweet because the pumpkin is not a very sweet recipe on its own. So sometimes it does require a little extra sweet, which is why I like the semi-sweet. Okay, so guys, for today's recipe, we are gonna start with 4 eggs. You can crack your eggs directly into the bowl because it is the very first thing that we're gonna be whisking today. There's no need to pre-whisk it or anything like that. If you're like me, guys, you wanna take the little white part out of the eggs. If you're, of course, if you're baking it for yourself versus if you're baking it for someone else. Okay, me personally, I do not like that little white thing in the egg, so I always try to take it out when I'm making something for me. Okay, but that's just my preference. All right, so guys, in here, I'm gonna turn you guys down a little bit just so that you can see into the bowl, okay? So you may not be able to see my face, but that's just because we're gonna be doing it in the bowl. Thank you so much. Okay, so here we have our eggs. I have just a regular whisk here, medium whisk. We're gonna whisk that up. Now you wanna whisk your egg until they turn almost like a pale yellow. So I'm gonna show you guys, as I said, I'm definitely gonna go this through step by step because this recipe is really, really easy. So let's take you guys up for a second and then down. Okay, that should be a better angle. Okay, so you guys can see directly into the bowl. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna whisk this up a little bit, about 2 minutes by hand. If you're using the mixer, literally it is less than a minute, okay? All right, now I'm gonna add, that was 4 eggs. I'm gonna add 2 cups of sugar. Now remember guys, if this is for your household and you guys don't use sugar and you wanna supplement this with agave or coconut sugar, you can do so as well. Go back and check my conversion, guys. Whenever you're converting sugar, if you're using brown sugar, it's 1:1. If you're using agave, it's 1 to 1.5. And keep in mind that agave is a liquid, so your batter will take a little bit longer to bake. Okay? All right, so I add my sugar in, and once again, I'm gonna whisk it. Now, you don't have to worry about your sugar crystals, guys, because as we continue to beat this recipe, every step of the way as we beat, it will dissolve into the mix. So you don't have to worry about that as much, okay? So, all right, there we go. Can you see the texture? And you guys see how the color has turned lighter. Okay, so our next step, guys, is we're gonna add our fat, or in this case, our oils, okay? So we have oil, and for the oil, it's 1.5 cups. Guys, if you're using canola oil, vegetable oil, olive oil, it is all the same, 1.5 cups. If you're using melted butter for this recipe, which I don't recommend, but I have seen the substitute. If you're using melted butter, guys, go ahead and use, it would be equivalent to 1 stick of butter. Okay, so already you guys can't see it, but if you're making it at home, already you can see that your sugar crystals have already dissolved. Okay, so now I'm gonna swap my whisk out. Hey! All right, I'm gonna swap my whisk out, guys, and I'm gonna use my spatula because for this, I'm gonna do a little bit of a folding. So here I added 1 can of pumpkin. Now, if you guys are fully organic and you wanna make this at home, this can of pumpkin is equivalent to just about 15 ounces, which is gonna be a cup and a little tiny bit. So just use a cup, and you can never have too much pumpkin, so I would say 1.25 cups, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take from the outside and I'm gonna fold it over. Now, all I'm doing with my spoon is that I'm just turning it. No heavy beating, no nothing, no special way to turning it. That's just it. Now we're gonna mix this until the pumpkin puree is completely mixed in. Now guys, for those of you who are making this at home and you don't have the, like this is what it is, the canned pumpkin. If you don't have this and you're making it from scratch, all you have to do is you're gonna boil your pumpkin, add a little bit of salt into the water because you want it to have some flavor, and then you're gonna completely puree it until you have no solid pieces mixed in, okay? That is that simple. Okay, so now guys, if you can see, our batter has thinned out a little bit. Now you wanna make sure that you have no solid pieces in because this is not like you're mixing it with a mixer, so you wanna make sure that it is completely mixed in, okay? All right, so guys, our next part of the, you're gonna leave this alone. And so our next part is our dry ingredients. For our dry ingredients, we're gonna use 3 cups of flour. All right, and then we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda. So we have 1, 2. So that's 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda. You guys know if you don't have one or the other, let's say you ran out of baking soda or you ran out of baking powder, you can go ahead and supplement either. If you run out of baking powder, guys, you can use baking soda, but just be careful with the sodium level of the baking soda. So you may have to drop back on your salt just a little bit, okay? All right, so for my cinnamon, I'm gonna add 1.5 of cinnamon. Some recipes, guys, this particular recipe calls for, I believe, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, but I like when my pumpkin bread, you can taste the spices. So I add a little bit more. And this is my salt. I always recommend using kosher salt because it is less salty, if that makes any sense at all. But it's less salty to use, okay? So now, guys, I'm gonna just take a small whisk. We're gonna whisk those ingredients together. Now, someone asked me earlier if they didn't want to use cinnamon and they wanted to use like allspice. Guys, allspice is like a Chinese 5-spice. It's a blend. You could definitely use allspice here. You can use cardamom. You can use whichever is your favorite flavor. So because of this time of year, you'll find a lot of pumpkin spice mixes that's already pre-made. That is perfect for this as well. So you'll just use 1.5 of the pumpkin spice. Okay? So now, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add this in. And I just added it in all at once. Once again, I'm gonna take my whisk and I'm just gonna turn it into each other. If you guys have questions, please feel free to ask your questions. I know for some reason my followers like to inbox me questions, and so I see them on the side of the screen, and sometimes if I don't catch it on time, it goes away, guys. Okay, so as the batter gets thicker, as you can see here, we're gonna take our rubber spatula and we're just gonna begin to fold it. Guys, if you could smell the spices in this mixed with the pumpkin, it is so good. So, so good. All right, so now, guys, we're gonna leave that alone for a second, and now comes the final part, or the fun part, guys. I have here, and I know when I posted my recipe, it's such an easy mix. I swear my hands don't have any special power. So I have soaked my raisins here. They've been soaking for about an hour. And if you guys could see, let's take one of them out so you guys could see how big it has gotten. I wouldn't try to eat this right now, guys, because this is pure 100% whiskey that it has been soaking in, okay? So I don't recommend eating your raisins like this. So the baking powder is 2 teaspoons. The baking soda is 2 teaspoons. 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon or 1.5 teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, and thank you so much for putting that to the bottom of the screen. Okay, so guys, if you're making this for kids, and it's crazy that I have to put this disclaimer out there, but if you're making this for kids, let's go ahead and eliminate the rum soaked or the whiskey soaked or the tequila soaked raisins, okay? Let's keep it PG for the kids, and we're just simply gonna give them chocolate chips, or we can make it just a spiced pumpkin bread, and you can bake this just as it is. You can pour it in a pan, bake it, it'll be just great. However, if we're going in for the adults, okay, you guys know I love to bake with different mediums of alcohol, but you guys can use rum. For those of you who are in Antigua, you guys feel free to use the Cavalier rum because it's such a harsh rum. It's really good in like Christmas or seasonal mixes because it's so strong. So this actually is whiskey, 2 parts whiskey and 1 part amaretto. I know you guys, I promised someone I would show them what the amaretto is, but this is the amaretto that I use. I don't use the very expensive brand because literally what you're using this for is the aroma or the fragrance of it. It's very nutty and it goes really well with any kind of rum drinking. Baking. Drinking too, but yeah, any rum baking. English Harbor is amazing as well, but believe it or not, Cavalier is a little bit stronger, so it does give more of a kick if you're looking for that that effect. Okay, so guys, so this is 2 cups of golden raisins. And again, if you feel like you don't like raisins but you want cranberries, it's the same exact process. You soak your cranberries in some whiskey, some rum, some tequila, whatever it is that you like to drink, and then we're going to add it in. If you're not using rum and you're using chocolate chips, you go ahead and use the same exact, it's 2 cups of chocolate chips of your choosing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add that in. And I put the extra, all of my little extra drippings as well from the raisins. I added those in as well. Oh my goodness, and the smell is amazing, guys. Now, very important here, guys, that you scrape as you turn. You're gonna scrape the bottom of your pan because this is the last mixing that we're giving it. So you don't want to have any chunks of anything if it didn't get mixed in. The only thing that you should be seeing in this is raisins. It should be one smooth texture. Okay? So the amount that we've made here is good enough for if you guys are making it into a loaf. You want to make sure that your loaf pan is big enough. You can use a square pan, a loaf pan. Be my guest, guys. You know, I always like to tell people you're making this for yourself or your home, so don't let anybody else tell you what size or what shape it should be. Okay? So if you want a round pumpkin loaf or bread, it would be, go ahead and make it round. For me, I'm going to be slicing it up and giving it to my neighbors. Actually, this is going to be my welcome gift to my new neighbors. So I'll be putting it in these pans. Now, there's something really cool about this pan, guys. I really, really like it. I do use it for most of my loaves because it pops out. If you guys could see, it's like a spring. So once the bread is finished baking, I literally pop it out like that and it pops out flawless. I do really, really like that pan. Okay, so guys, so now something that I want to touch on a little bit, okay, is that whenever you're making anything like banana bread or a pumpkin loaf, chocolate chip loaf, I always like to take the extra step to line my pan. And the reason for that is that I want the color of my bread to be the same throughout, especially the bottom of the pan. So a lot of times if you've ever seen bread where the bottom of it is like harder or brown, that's because they didn't line the pan, so you didn't get a perfect bake or even bake throughout. So the bottom of the pan baked before the top, so the top may be, you know, not as golden as the bottom. To eliminate that, guys, all you want to do is you want to take a little bit of parchment paper. All right, you're going to measure it out first. Make sure. I kind of, as I said, because I do this a lot, I know the size of the pan that I'm using. But you guys, you want to measure it out before you go ahead and spray your pan. Now, today, guys, I'm going to be using, because it was on sale for $1, like $39. I've never used it before, but it's a canola non-stick spray. I figure they all kind of work the same, so you guys know I love a bargain. So I'm just going to spray the pan very light. Then I'm going to take my parchment paper and I'm going to press it down evenly, folding it over the edges as I go. So as I keep one hand in and I literally just turn it and fold it in. Now you have a solid pan that looks like this. Okay? Now for just the easy release, I'm gonna spray it very lightly. And I believe this is gonna take about 2 or maybe about 4 full cups to bake through. Let's see what we have. So I have my cup measure here. Now you guys don't always have to measure because you're making it at home. You can pour it straight through. But I kind of like the consistency. If today it's this big, I always want it to be this thick. Sorry guys, that's just my personal OCD, but feel free to dump it in as you see fit. And as I said, this is going to be enough for me to make 3 of these. So, you know, kind of know accordingly for what you're making at home. All right, so it's 2.5 here. If you guys can see, that's about 3, maybe about half of the way I've filled the pan. So I'm going to add 1/2. So 3 cups is what it's going to be to fill that we're going to use. Okay, so the last, guys, and final step, whenever you're making anything that does not necessarily have, like, I'm not gonna frost this, or maybe I'll frost one of them, who knows, but I'm not generally frosting this particular pumpkin loaf bread. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take a little bit of sugar, okay, and I'm gonna sprinkle it on the top of it so that when it bakes, it's gonna get a nice texture on the top of it as it comes out, okay? So I'm just gonna grab a little bit of sugar, and I'm just using regular sugar. Of course, people are welcome to use, if you have like the crystallized sugar, you can use that as well. Use what you have, guys, at home. Don't go out and buy anything else. Okay, so there we go. And this one, it's ready for the oven. I have my oven, it has been preheating at 350, guys, and it will preheat, like, just make sure that it's completely hot before you put this in. All right, so that's the first one. Now, guys, we're gonna get a little bit fancy, you know, because that's just the way how we do sometimes. We're gonna get a little bit fancy with this one, and we're gonna make a little bit of a strudel to go on top of this one, okay? So we're gonna stick that aside for just a moment. And I'm gonna use my surface area right here. Make sure that your surface area is clean and dry, okay? And for my strudel, guys, that's going on top, we're gonna do something a little bit that you guys may not have known that is the same exact thing, but how many of you guys ever had honey bunches of oats? It's a mixture of like cornflakes, frosted flakes, granola, and fresh nuts. Okay, so that is one of my favorite things to literally put on top of any kind of bread that I need texture for. The reason being because I don't have to necessarily go and buy all of the ingredients separately. This box, it actually just mixed them all together for me. Now, you guys don't have to look at the brand. Let's cover the brand up because I am not sponsored by any particular brand, guys. But if you're going to Save a Lot and they have the Save a Lot version of this brand, feel free to get it because it really is the same exact thing. I promise you. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a bowl and we're going to put about, let's put about a 1/2 cup of flour. So a 1/2 cup of flour, all right. And just like we did, we're gonna season our flour. We're gonna put in a little bit of cinnamon. And we're gonna put a little bit of sugar. Maybe about 2 teaspoons of sugar. All right, so this is like our cinnamon flour mix-up that we have going on here. And then this is enough for about 2 really big handfuls of cereal. Cereal of your choice, guys. If you don't like nuts, don't go out and get the one with the nuts. It's that simple. If you only like cornflakes, go ahead and get the one with the cornflakes. All right. So guys, what you see me doing here is that I'm just crunching it up, making sure that it's a bite size, and you literally cannot see any full flake or cornflake or cereal flake, whatever it is that you're using. Make sure that the granola is completely mixed in and bite sized so that you don't have like a huge mess when you try to take it out of the oven. Okay? So, I'm going to bring it closer. So now what we have here, guys, is a really nice crumble to go on top. So, with every crumble, guys, you want to make sure that you put a little bit of fat into it, okay? Because that's what's going to help it to stick to the top of the bread, as well as that's what's going to make sure that it bakes through and it doesn't burn along with the bread. Okay, so this is it, guys. So that you guys can see, that's what it looks like, and it smells amazing as always. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of butter, maybe about a tablespoon of butter. And you guys already know I keep my butter out of the fridge because I bake so often. It is perfect temperature all the time. If you're not using a stick of butter, guys, just so that you can eyeball it, this is what a tablespoon looks like. All right. Now you're gonna just sprinkle on top of it so it doesn't, like, it's not very sticky. And as it begins to get covered, you're just gonna kind of pinch it together. And this is what you're providing the fat for the top of your crumble. So this is perfect if you're making any coffee bread or like a coffee loaf, a black and white loaf. This is perfect for that recipe as well. So you can see here, I've made a lot. If I have any left over, I'm gonna save it for the next time that I'm in the mood to make like coffee cake muffins, anything like that. You can also add chocolate to this, guys, and put it on top of like a banana chocolate bread. You know, get creative with your toppings. Nobody wants to have the same toppings all the time. Okay. All right. Now the same thing that I did, I'm going to spray this pan a little bit. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over the sides as I turn my pan. All right, spray a little bit inside, and then we're going to do the same thing. I think this is going to take about a little bit more. It's going to take about 3.5. This pan is slightly bigger than the other one. So let's see if it takes 3.5 cups. Actually, it's going to take 4 cups. All right, so 4 cups did it for this one. The other one was 3. And what we're going to do is, I want to make sure that you guys have a good view here. I'm going to leave my pan turned like this. And I'm going to generously sprinkle from the top of it, making sure that you have a nice, even coat of this crumble for the top of the bread. All right. Now I'm just going to make sure that it's going to the sides, guys. No need to like work it into the bread. You guys just want to make sure that it's nice on top. Okay. And that is it, guys. This one is going to be our crumble topping. for this, and it is ready for the oven. Now, both of these are gonna bake for about 35 to 40 minutes. You guys wanna make sure that, especially with the bread, guys, I wanna make sure that you guys understand that when you're making stuff like banana bread or pumpkin bread, cinnamon bread, it doesn't matter. You wanna make sure that it is baked completely before you remove it from the oven. Because what's gonna happen is, if it's not baked completely, by the time you take it out of the oven, it's going to fall, that's the term that we use, and it's going to become super dense because all of the moisture is going to draw to the bottom, and then you're going to have yourself an uneven looking type of bread. Guys, that's it. That's all. We've just made our bourbon pumpkin. We're ready to eat in about 45 minutes. Now, this is something, guys, that you can make for your family. It is really good. It's really good served warm. If you have vanilla ice cream, guys, just cut a slice of this with some vanilla ice cream. I promise you, it is not unhealthy, or as unhealthy snack, I should say, because it has like the ratio of the sugar to the pumpkin. It's very low, okay? All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It is an absolute pleasure to have you guys and to be here with you guys. Please go ahead and drop for me what we're making next week. To the young lady, I cannot remember her name because it came across my screen. If you are making this into cupcakes, you were asking about making it into cupcakes. It's the same exact recipe, except of course when you're measuring it out, I would fill it to about half because this is going to rise a lot. So make sure that you fill your cupcakes. You know what, in fact, if I have a cupcake pan that's close by, sorry for the noise, guys. I'm just gonna do this for her because I know she was asking me about the cupcakes. And I told her if I did have enough. So bear with me a second, guys. I know today we ran a little bit over, but I just kind of want to make sure that she had the recipe and the right ratio, because a lot of times the ratio makes a huge difference. So I'm going to make 4 cupcakes maybe. Let's see. We're going to prepare for 6 and we'll see how much we have. Now, if you don't have, I'm trying to think of if I should do it in a scoop. If you don't have an ice cream scoop at home, guys, this ice cream scoop was actually measured for my particular cupcake holder. So if you don't have one, you have to learn how to ratio it out. Ooh, Nutter Butter cookies. You want to put Nutter Butter cookies on top of your pumpkin loaf? Why did you say that? And I thought to myself that it's going to be good. I think something peanut buttery would be good. Oh, you want to make Nutter Butter cookies next week? Okay, so that we could definitely do that. That's a really good one. Okay, so guys, this is my scoop. And as I said, this scoop has been measured out perfectly for this particular pan. So learn how to eyeball it and know the size of the cupcake holders that you have. So I think I have enough here for like 6. Let's see. Maybe, maybe not. It's gonna be close, guys. It's really gonna be close. So let's see. Let's scrape down the size because I don't think I have enough for 6. So we're gonna use every ounce of this, guys. Every single droplet. Okay. All right, there we go. And then I'm gonna let's do strudel top it on 3. All right, and that's it. All right, I'm gonna pop these in the oven. I hope that I answered your questions about the cupcakes. I'll post pictures for you guys, of course, so that you can know what it comes out to, how many minutes. Again, I don't like giving the minutes only because You know, every oven, of course, cooks differently. So take your time and watch it. Make sure that it rises completely. If you don't have a tester, guys, use a knife, use a toothpick, use a matchstick, poke it in, make sure it comes out completely clean before you take it out of the oven. All right? Guys, it is an absolute pleasure once again being with you guys. I see some amazing suggestions going up there. We have apple cobbler and we have nutter butter cookies. I'm kind of feeling the nutter butter cookies because as soon as you said it, I was like, ooh, peanut butter. Okay, so we have those two. Actually, both of those are really easy recipes. When I say easy, like 1, 2, 3 recipes. So maybe we can do both on the same day. We'll see. You guys go ahead, continue inboxing me what you what you like, or what you'd like for me to make for you guys. Absolutely a pleasure once again being with you guys. To those of you who are joining me late, I'm June. It is a pleasure to bake with you guys every Monday. See you guys next Monday. Of course, we might do a in the week pop-up. You guys never know. I love to be in my kitchen, so we'll see what we'll make later this week. I think tomorrow we should make some bread. We'll see. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week. Have an amazing week. Have a productive week. See you guys next week. Bye.